Hello everyone, how are you on this quite dull Friday in the UK? Welcome to Real PR with me, Fiona Scott. I hope you've had a good month since I last appeared, and a prosperous month, a peaceful month, a lovely month. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by a client and friend. His name's Paul Day, and without further ado, I'm going to let him introduce himself, because you know that's how we should do it on these chat shows. So everyone, let's give a virtual clap to my client today, Paul Day. Paul,
hi,
thank you for joining me. Thanks for joining me today. So introduce yourself. I know you, but lots of people don't. So tell people who you are and what you do.
My name's Paul Day. I'm a technical and managing director for Filestream Ltd, document management software in the UK. I've got clients all over the world, and that's me.
Okay, so for those of us who don't know, Paul, what is document management?
So document management is a software that allows you to have documents indexed, managed, workflow and everything assigned to them, but more to the point, it's encrypted. Today's biggest issue is ransomwares and stuff like that. So a lot of our clients have the data encrypted at rest to the same security as bank levels. So if anybody was to hack in and steal your data, they're only installing a load of encrypted files. So you're not giving away any personal identifying information.
Now, when I met you, Paul, I knew nothing really about document management and how important it is. And now in my mind, it's almost like lots of filing cabinets online. But there are certain businesses where this is really, really important. So let's give people some examples of sectors you work in particularly and how you help those sectors.
Yeah, so we've got customers that deal with HR, for instance. So any personal identifying information, employees, you need to keep their data protected. So it's not allowed outside. More to the point, obviously, there's GDPR now in this world where we have to protect that data. We have to have reduction and retention rules around that data. HR, obviously, is notoriously a filing cabinet where staff files are, making that fully available online. So it's accessible at high speed, and obviously if you get any subject access requests, you're able to find that data and deal with that in a fast manner. They do say that it takes the average person 18 minutes to find a piece of paper if you're looking for an old piece of paper or something like that in a filing cabinet. So we deal with it in that way, so we keep all that up to date. We've obviously got clients that use customizations with us, so we can do an added extra. For instance, you know, we can monitor employees on certain areas. So if they open a door, we know they've opened that door. We can capture that information. We also have links with finance packages. So should you receive an email coming in through the with an invoice, you can automatically process that through the AI. So it's already indexed and then updated into your accounts package, and obviously start a workflow for that invoice to be approved.
Okay, so I'm going to roll back a bit because you've said some things that people might not know what they are. What is a subject access request? Because you mentioned that particularly.
So yeah, so if you get anybody coming in from the outside world asking for what information you have on that person, basically it's a subject access request, and you've got a time limit to do or produce that information to that person. So for instance, you may have an employee come to you and say, I want to know everything that you've got on the HR file. And that will be all their training certificates, their contracts, their CVs, their warnings, their performance reviews. And obviously they're entitled to that information. So should you get that subject access request, and obviously you give them some information that isn't current, i.e. an out-of-date contract or an out-of-date warning or something like that, then obviously you're not doing what you should be doing under GDPR with that data. So, you could open yourself up to potential fines. But more nowadays, people would use that information in a tribunal case. So if you're proving that you're not keeping the data up to date, then obviously you've got a risk of losing a tribunal by having that data out of date.
Now, I know from working from you, Paul, that HR is an area you work in, but you also work in education. Tell us about that.
Yeah, education, obviously special educational needs. You've got all different plans for these children. They are constantly getting updated. So obviously in schools, there's a lot of safeguarding information around students, and also the time you have to keep that. So a lot of the time now, schools have to keep that data for 21 years, which is an awful long time, but it's there, ready, available. And more to the point, should you have any safeguarding issues, that's where that information is kept up to date and the current safeguarding plan is available. And obviously, full well you're not putting any children at risk, and you're also dealing with their up-to-date special educational need plans.
So in somewhere like a school, Paul, they'll have probably quite a large number of staff, particularly if it's a secondary school. They might have several hundred staff. Can your system allow staff to access everything, or only the bits that the senior management team want them to? How do you set that up?
So it's all controlled by RBAC, which is roles-based access control. So a user will belong to a role, and depending on what permissions the manager gives that role depends on what they can see. So for instance, if we were talking of a student file where you've got academic, medical, finance information for a university student, you can have a role, so only the medical people see the medical information, the academic only see the academic, and the finance only see the finance information. But you've always got the choice where the manager will be able to go in and see everything to do with that student. So the security of the system allows you to have a full granular control on who can see what piece of paper or what subject to do with that student.
Paul, I know I've spoken to some of your clients before in the work you and I have done together, but is any of this stress tested by any of your clients just to check that what you say it will do, it actually will do?
Yeah, we've got a lot of well-known clients that obviously penetration test our software to make sure that we are keeping their data secure. Their banks, there's a lot of finance customers, a lot of secure customers there. Obviously, Scania is a big customer of ours, so every Scania lorry is kept, the records are kept in our system. So that's freely accessible. So a lot of testing is done. Stress testing is done as well. User acceptance testing. We don't throw out pieces of software for the customer to test. Obviously, that goes through our test program here before it gets released.
And talk to me. You said that you work with clients all over the world. Give us an example that you can share.
So we've got an American company that has got offices all based over. Well, they've got an office in Aberdeen and they've got an office in Houston, in Texas. We monitor all of their staff all over the world. So they've got staff out in drilling fields and stuff like that for oil. And basically, we're monitoring all their expenses and all their HR files and all the standard stuff. So if they're out there drilling and they need to see a record, they can obviously log into the system over the internet and see that record as the latest record should be, just to confirm that there's not been any updates in the plans. We've got clients in India, which always makes me laugh, that obviously that's the software capital of the world. But we've got about 20 installations now in India where they're using our software because our software is a complete solution. So over there where they had lots of different applications but not talking to each other, with ours we talk and do the whole process from start to finish for a document and the security around it.
Talk to me about the background of Filestream and where this idea for the software came from back in the day, because you've been an employee for a long time and worked your way up to MD, haven't you, Paul?
Yeah, I started as a van driver 29 years ago, delivering office equipment. We were selling other people's software, document management software. Back then it was discs and things like that we were selling. And we started getting into the electronic solutions as well. But what we couldn't find was a lot of these companies were American, and the support wasn't available in the UK between the hours of 9 a.m. and sort of 2 p.m. And then obviously after 2 p.m. America came online and we were able to get support. So we decided at that time that writing our own software would be a good idea, and we did. So in 2003 we started writing Filestream. In 2008 we sold the office equipment business and just went forward with the software. And since 2008, obviously Filestream has been its own entity and growing and growing and growing.
Okay, now I know you can't name any names, and I don't expect you to, but you also do work with some quite high-profile celebrities as well. Just give us a very rough rundown of the kind of things you do for them.
Yeah, so a lot of their data is obviously open to be stolen, personal information. So we do stuff, for instance, like keeping their medical information, their personal information in a system, obviously their financial information. That's another thing we keep for them. So we know full well that should anybody try to hack any of their data, it's not available. And if they did hack it, they wouldn't be able to decrypt it because it's not an off-the-shelf encryption. It's our own encryption.
And Paul, the one thing I like about, I love technology and the internet, and obviously you do because you've created software for it. But there are dangers. Just highlight to people the extent of dangers that are out there around any company of any size.
Yeah, so everybody's got data, everybody's at risk. I'm going to say last year was the first year that $1 billion has been paid in ransomware to get data back. Unfortunately, it could be the email that comes in through the door that made to look like it's basically a official email. But you click on a link in that email and then obviously the damage is done. There's lots and lots of stuff out there on the internet. I mean, say, antivirus software is not the answer because obviously there's ways that these documents come in. It could be the fact that someone's come in and plugged in a USB stick into a computer in the office and that USB stick's picked up a virus from their home computer. It could be the fact that you can take over people's identification. You can pretend to be the managing director. There's lots of stuff out there where you can see companies being hacked and personal identifying information being stolen. And once they've got that data, it's very easy to sell. And you'll find a lot of these people now don't even hold the data to ransom. They just steal it to sell because it's easy to sell and it's untraceable. Because generally we are getting clever and we are starting doing a lot more investigation and trying to find out who's responsible for these attacks. But yeah, it's data security should be at the forefront of everybody, making sure that everything is encrypted at rest.
And Paul, if someone did hack into a sort of a Filestream system or one of your clients suffered such an attack, what happens with the system to shut that attack down?
So everybody's hackable. Okay, so the person that comes up and says my business will never get hacked, I feel is misguided. It's just they haven't been hacked yet. But the thing with Filestream is we keep the metadata in a separate place to the data, the image data. The image data is encrypted to AES 256, which is the same security that bank levels use. So, if one of my customers did get hacked, I know full well that they can generally say that the data has not been breached. Although there has been a data loss, it's not a data breach. And we can rebuild anything. So obviously our partners that we use for our cloud are all English based. We're all ISO 27001 and IS 9001. So we're adhering to the latest security sort of regulations and things like that. Obviously, we constantly test the servers and the software to make sure there's no routes in through back doors. That's done by external companies to us because obviously I always believe that testing your own software is a failure because obviously, you need to get an external company to do that.
And Paul, just set out for us, I mean, if someone was interested in Filestream, what do they need to be thinking of in terms of investment? What do these things cost?
So when we talk of a standard 5-user concurrent system in the cloud, so you get 50 gig of space in the cloud, that's everything included, all your backup and everything like that, you're talking £265 a month. Yeah. Now, with all due respect, £265 a month sounds an awful lot when you can go and throw it in Google Docs or Dropbox or something like that. But obviously what we're offering you is the full solution. We're offering you workflow. We're offering you encryption. We're offering you security. When we say 5 concurrent users, most of our businesses that have 20 employees are running a 5-user concurrent system, because most people don't use it all at the same time. We're offering you the fact that you can go out with a mobile phone and app on Android or iOS, and you can look at data in your system instead of taking pieces of paper out. So we've all heard about things being left on trains, secure pieces of paper out there in the public domain. We're giving you the security, the safety, and obviously also the audit control. It's very important that any document you have in a system to be, in a court sort of thing, we have to have you got audit control on that document. And the answer to that question with Filestream is, I know, for instance, that Fiona's printed this document. I know that Fiona's looked at this document. I know that Fiona's changed this document, and I can go back to the previous revision of that document. So the security around the whole system is much more complex than just saying, I have this piece of, or this file saved in a Windows folder.
Paul, you do give talks, and I know, out and about. What kind of things, when you go and meet a new group of people, when you go to a business show or you give a talk, what are the kind of things that you're talking about to make people have conversations with you about documents, data, security? What are your sort of favourite subjects?
I generally believe, as a GDPR practitioner, that it's not down. There's lots of different softwares out there that do what we do. And some people will quite often say to me, well, I've got, SharePoint, for instance. SharePoint is a document repository. It's not a document management. And you'll find that if you get a data breach, normally they're going to come in at an admin level and they're going to take all of your SharePoint farm with it. We had a client recently that had that come in. They had a virus, they've come in and they know full well that everything in their SharePoint has been captured by the data people, and it's not encrypted. So there's lots of times you can do things like this, but the biggest thing I try to get across is making people aware. There's someone will want that data for something, and it's not even sort of the data damage or the loss of the damage, it's a reputation to your business. So the likes of someone, for instance, like Dropbox, that have got 700 million customers worldwide, they can quite honest and truthfully afford to lose 10% of their customers, and it doesn't really affect them much. But obviously a smaller business, a small medium business like ourselves that are starting up, if you get a big bang on your reputation, that goes out and can cause the damage and potentially close a lot of businesses down. We're seeing some amazing companies start up now, and they're growing very, very quickly. And with data protection, they don't normally worry about it too much until it's too late. I've been talking to some clients that will worry about it as a day-to-day thing, and then I get some clients to come to me and say, I've just had a data breach, can you help me? I can't help you with a data breach. I can only help you moving forward with a data breach. So it's quite, my job is to make people aware that burying your head is not the answer. Hoping it never happens is not an answer. And obviously, if you do have a data breach and you report it to the Information Commissioner's office, they're going to ask you questions like your, document retention policies, your GDPR policy. And if you don't have that, then obviously they know you're not taking data seriously. And we all know some of the big names that have been hacked, British Airways, all that sort of stuff, that if they can get hacked, then anybody can get hacked.
Mm. Paul, when we first met, and I have found this in the world of tech, I never thought that a company like you would embrace PR. So now that we've worked together for a while, what does PR mean to you?
So I suppose PR is getting your name seen. We are a small company. We don't have direct sales force. We're based in Crowthorne. If you Google us, you'll have to look quite hard to find us, and stuff like that. Whereas PR gets your name out there, it gets you known. Since we've been working with you, you've done amazing stories for us and helped us get our software known outside of where we were, introducing us to other people. And I believe people do business with people, not companies. I know that Fiona, you're Scott Media. As you know, I'm Paul Day. Obviously, there's other employees here, but people do business with me because obviously they know that I'm not telling them false information. I'm selling them a solution and telling them what's best for them as a person. And everybody's different, but by all means, it's down to the nitty gritty is the same thing. Your documents that you're keeping is different to the next person's documents, but primarily it's documents that you need to protect. So PR helps me be known, I would say. It helps me have a face to just a name or just an email. So that's what I get out of it personally.
And you also do things, because we've got some PR around things that are not to do with work and not to do with techie stuff, because you do quite a lot for charity, don't you? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I always like to do challenges, I suppose you would say. Obviously, raising money for charity is important, and the charities that I raise money for normally have a closeness to me. I also do, obviously, Father Christmas in December, and I do a lot of that for charity as well. So it could be rainbows groups, it could be beavers groups, but more and more I'm doing little individual visits to children with special needs in their own home, because they find it hard to go out into large groups of public people and stuff like that. So by me offering them a little visit, half hour in their home, I get so much out of that, as much as they get out of it and the parents get out of it. But yeah, so doing charitable things, I always like to say to myself, charity does begin at home, but we can all do something. And you could be the richest person in the world, but time is the most valuable thing. And to give somebody that time, even to talk to them on the phone, I do a lot of work with the NHS volunteer stuff, and since COVID, going out and doing things like getting people shopping, getting their prescriptions. And I think I've probably done somewhere near 850 tasks on that in the last 3 years. And I get rewards out of it, speaking to people for 6 weeks at a time, a couple of times a week, giving them a call, seeing how they are. And I hear how they enjoy and look forward to that call, because there is a lot of people in this world that are lonely. And I think that we all need to just love thy neighbour, really. Look out for the local people. There's a load of older generation coming up. And by helping them doing certain things, it gives them the chance to stay independent and living for longer.
Joe, I didn't know you did the NHS thing, but I do know that you've actually been Father Christmas in December for about 25 years, isn't it, Paul? You even have your own Father Christmas suit.
Yeah. I've had quite a few Father Christmas suits made for me, which is quite interesting. So that started many, many years ago. My older sister had a rainbows group, and she asked me to be their Father Christmas one year. And from there, it just blossomed. Someone said, "Oh, well, I'll make you a suit," because there was a lot of suits out there that were temporary. Let's just say that you could use them once, and if they lasted, that was great. But yeah, to get my own suit made was a lot better than some of the suits I could have brought. And since then, as I say, it's been great. And my claim to fame is when people say, "Well, how good are you?" Well, I've actually had my own daughter sitting on my lap just about to tell me what she was going to buy her dad for Christmas. So, and she was totally oblivious to the fact that it was me. So, but unfortunately, my sister removed her from my lap just at the prime moment when I was about to find out a few weeks before Christmas what I was getting. So, yeah, and to see the faces of these children, that just talking to them, giving them something like a selection pack or a little gift is priceless, absolutely priceless. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoy. December is a mental month for me. I don't get a lot of free time, but at the end of it, I know I've made a lot of people happy.
And the other thing, Paul, I mean, you did a challenge last year and you lost a ton of weight, didn't you? Let's tell us about that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I did get hit by COVID quite badly, and I'm lucky. That was before any vaccinations were around, and it gave me a kick to change my lifestyle. So I needed something. I'm one of these people that need something to get to a goal. So I found a thing for Tommy's the Baby charity. My niece lost a baby during lockdown. So they had a skyscraper challenge. So the thing was to run up 1,100 stairs in an office, the cheese grater in London, and then abseil down off of the roof. Unfortunately, there was technical issues because of the heat on the day with the abseiling part of it. But yeah, I managed to run up 1,100 stairs in just under 12 minutes, which had I have been sort of 4.5 stone heavier like I was in 2020, I don't think I could have done it in 2 hours, personally speaking. So yeah, it's I got so much out of doing that as well. I raised over £2,000 for the charity. It was a charity close to my heart, but it also helped me improve my fitness at the same time.
Talk to us about that. I mean, you didn't just suddenly rock up and run up 1,100 steps, did you? You put in a lot of work and training. Talk us through that training program that you did, Paul.
Yeah, so I joined a gym. I changed my life, went to a nutritionist and, understood what I was doing wrong. Most of the time it was what I was putting in my mouth and not walking past, the chocolate bars and the burgers and everything like that. I was in the gym probably 3 to 4 times a week, whether that be running, whether that be on a treadmill or on the stair climber. So obviously a lot of the time I was on the step climber because that's what I was doing. So it was hours and hours and hours. It wasn't just a matter, as you say, of deciding that I'm going to do this, I'm going to raise some money and then I'm going to climb up 1,200 stairs. So my timing was 90 steps a minute, which, if you work that out, that's 1.5 steps a second. So basically, that was an achievement for me. I'm no spring chicken, I'm in my 50s. So doing something like that was a major target and an achievement. I look at that as being an achievement because I raised money for a charity that was close to me and I've improved everything around it.
But you're doing it again, aren't you, next year? So tell us about that.
Yeah, I believe you can always sit there at home and say, that's easy, I can do that. So the new thing that's just about to happen is I will be running the London Marathon next year. And I've never done anything like that. My limit of running has been, since I've been training, I've been doing park runs where I achieve 5K in about 35, 36 minutes. I'm just going to be taking it up from 5K to 26.2 miles in April next year and do the most probably iconic marathon in the world, which is the London Marathon. So, yeah. So I'm now starting training for that.
So what does your training involve at the moment and how do you see that developing over the next few months?
Oh, wow. There's a good question. So 3 nights a week, I'm running and walking. I've just gone for the next level now. So at the moment, I'm completing 10 kilometers in about 1 hour and 20 minutes. So my next stage of that would be to move that to 15 kilometers. And then obviously I'm trying to see if I can get up to half marathon level by sort of late October. I'm going to find a half marathon to run and get a time on that. I suppose it's all down to official times. I would like to aim, as I say, and do the 26 miles in about 5.5, 6 hours. But who's to know what, I've never done anything like this, but all I can say is, I've got a lot of running and a lot of work ahead of me, because at this moment in time, I could probably just do 10 kilometers, but I've never gone past 10 kilometers.
I mean, I'm looking forward to see how you get on. When you're on the marathon, by the way, there's a mile markers that you will see on the route. And I'm just going to say this, they were made in Swindon. So I'm just going to let you know, they're made from recycled materials. All the mile markers were made from recycled materials, because I did that story for a little company that just around the corner from me, and they're 3D printed as well. So just right up your street, Paul, in terms of techiness.
There you go. I'll sign every one of them as I see them. I'll be counting them down. Put it that way.
I doubt you'll have the puff for that. Now, I know you haven't decided which charity you're going to be running for, but it will be for charity. What kind of area of charity this time are you going to focus on?
I honestly don't know at this moment in time. I would like to do, as I say, a charity close to me or someone I know that, is in that predicament. So any sort of, cancer charities or charities that really make a difference. I always look at that when I sort of do things for charity. I believe that there's great charities out there. And I like to sort of think that, I'm raising funds for a charity that actually utilise most of their funds unfortunately, there's some charities out there that are quite heavily driven by administration. And, for every £1 you raise, sort of 70 pence of it goes towards the running of the charity, which, I tend to like to look at what is that happening? Where is their money going? And if the charities that sort of, if you're raising £1, if at least 50% of it's going towards helping the people that the charity is supposed to be helping, then that's a valuable charity in my eyes.
Right, I'm going to take you right back, Paul, so people sort of know where you sit. So Crowthorne, Berkshire, that's where the business is based. Do you come from Berkshire? Tell us, where were you born and brought up?
Yeah, born and bred in Binfield, near Bracknell. When I was born many years ago, I've lived in Binfield all my life. I've obviously, did have a 2-year stint out of Binfield up in London area when I was working in London quite a lot. But I always came back home. Family's very close to Bracknell. So my office is probably, 6 miles away from my house. So not a big commute, but obviously, I travel all over the world and all over the country for my job. So sometimes I'm on the road at 4 o'clock in the morning and getting home at 10 o'clock at night. But yeah, it's born and bred. Got 3 lovely sisters. Obviously, mum and dad are passed over now. They've gone and left us into this lovely world. But, we were all very, very close, and we all lived within a 3-mile radius.
Brilliant. And you're going to be in Swindon next week, I should just say. So people might see you at the Swindon Business Show. So, folks, if you're listening to this, find Paul, Filestream. He'll be on the Filestream stand, so you can have a chat with him. Right then, Paul, sell Berkshire to us. What does Berkshire have to offer? Because I come from Swindon, and I have to say a lot of people, no, Swindon isn't beige and boring. It's got this, and this. So tell us what is great about Berkshire.
Oh, well, there you go. What have we got in Berkshire? Well, obviously, we have a lovely Windsor Castle. Windsor Castle's in Berkshire. We have the lovely Ascot Racecourse in Berkshire. What else can we say? We have a lovely new town centre, which is totally revamped, rebuilt, everything like that. There's other things. Berkshire's a main route from the M4 to the M3. So if you're coming up from lovely Swindon and you want to go down sort of through that way, you would use the M4 corridor and then go through Bracknell. A lot of people do that. We have, coral reef swimming pool for sort of if anyone likes swimming and everything. It's the biggest thing, I suppose, for me, which I'm starting to appreciate more, is the green space. We have a lot of green space where you can come up and do some lovely walks through the forests, the lookout and stuff like that. So, it's not your hustle bustle town of London in any shape or form. I actually think that we don't have a nightclub in the whole of Bracknell. So if you're coming here nightclubbing, then you'll probably be best to carry on going. We do have lots of pubs and lots of restaurants. I think now there's something like 25, 30 restaurants in the town itself now. All new cinema and everything like that. We've got a bowling alley. So, but that's it really. Bracknell being Bracknell, it's just full of good people having fun.
So, okay, we're going to wind up now. So I need you to, let's think about the future then. What do you think in terms of tech is coming up that we should be aware of? It could be positive things or things that are more risky. What do you think is coming in the world of tech throughout 2024 and into next year?
So, unfortunately, the negative side of tech is still the amount of breaches and ransomware and attacks that are happening. They're more and more now. You only have to listen to the news every single day to hear or see companies that have been breached. So that's the scary side of it. AI is now coming up in a big way. Even some of the artificial intelligence stuff is, there's a lot of deep fakes out there. You only have to Google the deep fake where a certain company got done for £20 million. That was where a CEO was brought into a meeting, and basically he told somebody to pay £20 million into a bank account, and it was done, and it disappeared very quickly. So unfortunately, there's a lot of good things in tech, but there's some bad things as well. And for them, the individual, it's very, very hard. All I would say is be very careful when you're clicking a link. Look at it, make sure you feel happy with it. And by all means, there's lots of stuff out there. There was one I saw the other day with a link from Citibank, And it was all to do with exactly the same thing, apart from the A was a different A to what it is on a computer. But, you know, it was amazing how many people would actually click on the wrong link just because of the letter A. So technology, moving forward for good things, there's lots of amazing things coming on with technology now. You know, we're starting to get people walking with technology, arms, people that, you know, couldn't do things. AI and technology is taking over in a big way. People say, are you scared of it? No. As someone said to me not so long ago, this sort of thing with podcasts and everything like that will never become AI, because, you know, there's an interaction, there's a personal interaction between us, and that will never be able to be done by AI. So yes, AI can ask questions, but actually for the responses and the impersonality and the smiling and the nods and the blinks in the right place, obviously that's never going to be there. So it's not something to fear, but it's something, if it's used in the right way, can enhance people's lives.
I totally agree with you, Paul, and I'll often say that because in my world, a lot of people who work in PR, writing, media worry about AI. They think it might replace jobs, and I just see it as another advance in technology where in some sectors it might have that impact, but generally it can't replace, it can't be you.
No.
It can't be people. It can't. People are watching us today, interacting. They will know from our tone of voice, how we talk to each other, how we might have banter, that we know each other. And AI can't replicate that kind of human interaction, not even online. And they certainly, obviously, couldn't do it in the real world. So I think there's lots of brilliant things that will come from AI, but I think you have to be open to the dangers that are there as well.
Yeah, awareness is definitely the main thing. You know, just think twice. If, you know, if somebody's ringing you up telling you that your internet's not working, yeah, then it's a fake. All right, because the greatest will in the world, they're not going to do that. Yeah, you'll be the first person that knows if your internet's not working. And I say this to a lot of old people: how do you know that it's not a spam call? Well, with the greatest will in the world, is there a problem? You know, and I unfortunately, it's all too, you know, and I say this to people moving forward: if you're worried about a call and you want to end that call, just turn around and say, I don't have any money that I can give you. I need to go and speak to my son, daughter, or someone like that, because they're the people that do my payments. That will end any spam call or any fake call where they're trying to get hold of your money. Yeah. No bank is going to ring you up and ask you for the information that these people ask you for. Yeah. So it's always, and there's lots of information out there. There's a TV program around all these fake calls and stuff like that. If, you know, hang up, don't even engage with them. It's not being rude, because you're not asking for that call, and it will protect you in the long run. If you need that service, you will go and look for that service. If you don't need it, you know, they're not going to ring you to try and get you to say your internet's not working or anything like it.
I always think, because my mum's 81 and she'll often refuse to engage with technology through fear, and yet she misses out on so much because of that, Paul. So you giving advice to the people you meet in your daily life, I just think is really, really valuable. I tried to talk to my mum about, you know, the value of being connected through social media, as long as you're wise. I don't think it's healthy to completely shut yourself off from it because you're fearful of what might happen.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, there is technology out there that helps the older generation become independent still. You know, we have all these sort of helpline call buttons that if you fall over or if you're having a seizure, it will trigger alerts and stuff like that. Mobile phone technology is coming on now where that can also do the same thing. I suppose, you know, our generation, and when I say that in the nicest possible way, Fiona, we're going to be the next old generation that's going to be, you know, more savvy around technology. You know, I mean, say it's hard enough now to get a bank staying open. If you look how many banks are closing down in the high street, you know, that's a shame. Post offices as well. You know, you're taking away the older generation's conversation. You know, that's the biggest thing for some of these people. Going to the bank for them or going to the post office is them meeting other people. And I do look at that at this moment of time as being negative, but obviously, you know, we have to replace that with something else. And as I say, for me doing my NHS stuff, the amount of people that I talk to that are lonely, that don't talk or see to anybody, it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. I still remember going to help one lady who, she asked for 2 tins of peas, and I delivered those 2 tins of peas. And when I got to this lady's house, the safeguarding alarms that were there was just unbelievable. She didn't have any money to pay for 2 tins of peas. And it was basically down to the fact that COVID had come. She had no way of getting money. She had no way of getting out to the bank because she didn't drive. So there was no taxis or no buses or anything like that. And in the end, I was like, I can't walk away from this. I need to do something. And personally, I said, give me a shopping list. I will go and buy that shopping for you, because, I was faced with a 7 stone, 92-year-old lady that had no help. And it was like going down to Tesco's, buying her £60 worth of shopping, which to her was her world, and able to get her to see something, because it was clear to me that she had nothing in her house. But luckily enough, by doing something with the NHS like that, I've got a safeguarding team that I can ring. I rang them. I said, I've got grave concerns. And we were able to, within a week, get a lot of stuff sorted for that lovely lady. And I still talk to her now, 3 years on. I still have a regular phone call with her once a week. How are you doing? Is there anything you need? And, she's just a lovely lady who, if I didn't have that interaction with her at that right time, I generally believe she would have been forgotten, and she would have probably passed away with some starvation or something like that, because she just didn't get no help. And that one sticks in my mind to this day.
Oh gosh, Paul, don't. You're pulling on our heartstrings there. But tell us then, I guess you believe fully that one person in a small community can make a big difference to other people.
Oh yeah, going back to right in the beginning, you can have all the money in the world, but time's the most valuable thing. Time with your family, time with helping somebody else. Now, if you were to give half an hour talking to somebody that needs you at that right moment, you could potentially save their life. We're hearing about all the stories about people, unfortunately, taking their own life in the current climates and stuff like that. Just asking somebody, how are you? Not, and meaning it. I know that sounds really, really crazy. It's all too easy to say, hi, how you doing? You all right? Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. You need to spot the signs. Are you fine? Can you see something different about that person? Even saying, do you fancy a coffee? I know it's, coffee's an expensive thing, but that £1 or £2 or £3 cup of coffee could potentially make a life-changing difference to that one person. And I would willingly buy anybody coffee. You see people on the street. It's not a matter of giving them money. The people on the street, they want food and water. Go and buy them food. Yeah, don't give them money. Don't just walk past them. All right. The day where I feel that I couldn't buy a big issue, or I couldn't buy somebody a sandwich that's starving, or a drink, would be a sad, sad day for me. And some people say, oh yeah, but you could get taken for a ride. There's genuine people out there. Don't think that they're all trying to take you for a ride. And this is where I feel we are, as well as a nation. We can all be judged by media, judged by people going, oh, they're just doing it, they're this, they're that. But there's a lot of sincere people out there that need help. So half hour talking to someone, whether it's your elderly neighbour, somebody that you haven't spoke to, pick up the phone and just say, hi, how are you? It's a valuable thing.
So, Paul, on that note, I think that the last few answers you've given are probably in time bring you more business than anything else you've given, because you've just shown that heartfelt feeling that you have about helping people. So how can people find you, Paul, and connect with you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. They can find me on LinkedIn. They can also look at our website, filestreamsystems.co.uk. Thanks to you, I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn. So, that's all good. Just reach out. I'm available somewhere out there. I'm dead easy to find now. But as I say, just give us a call. Our number's on our website. Any questions, ask. I'm not going to charge for an answer to a question if I feel that it's going to help you one way or another.
Oh, Paul, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a joy to talk to you. Thank you, and have a good month. And good luck with all of your training, but I'll be keeping in touch with everything that you're doing. And maybe next year, after you've done the marathon, I'll invite you back and we'll all see how you get on. So massive good luck with your training program.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next week in Swindon.
Yeah. Next week I'll be in Swindon, in lovely Swindon. I'm coming down there. So yeah. I've got my passport ready to come down the M4 corridor. So that's all good.
As Layla saying, go Swindon. Absolutely, Layla. Absolutely. But anyway, thank you ever so much, everyone, for watching. If you're watching this on catch up and you've got any questions to ask, absolutely, I will pick them up. I'll pick them up either myself or I'll pass them on to Paul, because Paul and I speak on an almost weekly basis. So I'll pass on any questions to Paul. Thank you so much for listening in. That's it for today. Hope you have a fantastic weekend, and join me next month on Real PR, and I will tell you soon who my next guest will be. Thank you very much.